And what's up, everybody? I'm back with another video game review, or actually, it's really a set of video game reviews. And these are ones that I've wanted to do for a while. And it is, of course, you'll see the title of the video. It's the new Super Mario. It's not. Okay, let's restart. It's not. It's the Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. Games. The original three on the NES. 1985, I think, was when the first one was released. I want to say this, I think the second one was released in 1987, and the third one was released in 1990. I think those were. Now you might be wondering why I'm doing these all together instead of their own individual reviews, like I normally do. Because I've done Mario games before, by themselves. Done Mario Galaxy, I've done Mario Sunshine, I've done Mario Odyssey, and I've done Dream Team. So why am I doing these together? And the real answer is there's not much of a difference between there's not enough of a difference between the three games to really justify me doing individual reviews of each of them. They would be each kind of cookie cutter of each other. Each game has some additions to them to make them better, but at the base, they are really the same. And that's why I'm doing them together. This is going to be a two-part series, by the way. This first one is of the original three Mario games, Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3. The second part is going to be on some more modern Mario games that I'm grouping together. And what those will be, well, you'll have to see in part 2. So, let's get on with this. I have some notes, some generic notes about all three games. Mario Bros. 1 was one of the original NES titles. It's the marquee, like it always has been, and it always will be, the marquee NES title. Might not be considered the best NES game by everybody, but it's definitely considered the most iconic game out of all of them. But it's a very simplistic game looking back on it now. Very simple controls, really good music, iconic music, I should say. It's still very fun to play. Not hard to figure out at all. There's lots of stuff to keep you going in the game. It's not an extremely long game, I should say. It's not like a super short game, but it's not extremely long either. And overall, it can be really fun. So, and Mario Bros. 2, what does it do? Expands on that even more. Adds more colorful stuff, adds new items to the game, and just makes it a whole new immersive experience, already adding on to what Mario Bros. The original one. And then the third one, I think, is another great game too. It adds a ton of new items, and it does a whole new immersive experience. It's still a side scroller, but it gives a little bit more of a 3D-esque vibe to it. Back in 1990, that was pretty revolutionary, to say the least. And it was a very iconic game, especially right near the end of the NES's lifespan. The SNES, I don't think it was even a year out at that point. And they still pumped this thing out, and it was amazing. So, that's like the overall thoughts on them. Like I said, all three games are extremely iconic. They're considered top. They're always considered some of the top NES games ever made. Still very much people's childhoods. Some of the best games ever made in some people's lineups, and I can see why. They're great games, through and throughout. Of course, they're not perfect, but and we'll get to that in a little bit. And the music is awesome. Like I said, all the music, fantastic, fabulous. There's a lot of games for the NES, as back then, where the music just wanted to make you shoot yourself in the face and never come back again, because it was just so ear-piercing to listen to, and it just was awful to try and play a game with. But Mario, not the case at all. And that's makes for it really music. You don't think about it right away, but music really does play a big part in your experience with the game. And this game was no different. So, or these games were no different. And like I said, very simple controls. The NES controller is not super immersive, but you gotta still learn how to time your jumps and whatnot. But simpler controls make for a better introductory experience for everybody, and I think that's another thing that this game was very good at doing. More so than Zelda, in my opinion, and I think that's why I'm more of a Mario fan than I am a Zelda fan. It gives a better introductory experience than Zelda does, which allows me to like it more and get more adapted to it. And it's just kind of hard to jump into Zelda with that and expect the same thing, you know. Some of the jumps can be annoying. Like I said, it's an old games here, so you have to kind of expect that. But no way does it take away from the full experience of this game. Absolutely not. Mario 3, though, is where things really start to get wacky, in my opinion. Because it really seems like you see that a little bit in Mario 2. But in Mario 3, you could really tell that they were really starting to experiment with some stuff. You could tell that there's a lot of items and there's a lot of different level designs, secret levels, Easter eggs, enemies even, level designs that they were just really hammering at and really going with. It's kind of just throwing whatever you need to throw, like at the wall, which is right behind me here, or actually in front of me, behind you. But they're throwing it at like wet paper. I'm not gonna say wet things as shit because it wasn't shit, but you throw it at the wall and you hope it sticks. Like I said, they did some of that, a little bit about Mario 2, most of it though in Mario 3. And I guess back then it wouldn't have been so easy to pick it out. But nowadays, with the newer games and more games added, you can look back and say, oh, this was a flop. Oh, this didn't really work out. Oh, this did work out. Wow. I didn't know it started all the way back here. That's pretty cool. Like I said, each game sticks to a same base formula, but they all have something new to add to the game. And I think that's really cool. It shows that they care. It shows that back then, everything, it would have probably been DLC in this day and age, but, back then there wasn't any DLC, so you had to really just pick a new immersive experience to try and get people to buy the game, and it showed that they were putting some effort into it, and they showed that they really cared about the Mario franchise. Gave it a really good footing, in my opinion, so that's it. I'm not going to give a final score since this is a review for 3 separate games that I'm kind of doing all at once. So I normally give a score. I'm not here. I really like all these games. I do. They're a little infuriating to try and figure out at some points. But, you're going to get that with kind of every game. It's far from the worst. Far from the worst in the Mario line that I've had so far as well. So, what are you going to do? But now it's time for you guys. What do you guys think about these games? Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. 3. Love to know your thoughts about them all in the comment section down below. And that's going to do it for these game reviews. Again, there's going to be a part 2 to this with the newer Super Mario games. So stay tuned for that coming soon. And stay tuned for other much more amazing content. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.